It's time for this week's edition of
Oopsie.
And
Nailed it.
Let's get to it. Top 5 running back.
You're watching the Fantasy Football Show.
I think it's safe to say that I gotta get the microphone closer. I think it's safe to say Dalvin Cook is a
Nailed it.
If you need proof that Dalvin Cook was in my top 5 running backs heading into 2019, look to the intro of this video. Top 5 running backs. I've played it all off season long. In fact, people have said, Smitty, I watch your videos just because I love seeing Dalvin Cook as a top 5 running back in your intro video.
Top 5 running back.
Find one analyst out there that had Dalvin Cook ranked as high as I did. You can't do it. Dalvin Cook is easily one of the biggest
Nailed it.
predictions we've had so far on the Fantasy Football Show.
Now it's time for some bad news.
Baker, disappointment maker. I have been wrong about Baker Mayfield.
Oopsie.
I'm not saying Baker Mayfield can't rebound and become a much better player, potentially a top 5 QB. He could. The weapons are there. I believe the talent is there, but the situation has officially become
Oopsie.
an oopsie. Baker's holding onto the ball way too long. They're not blocking for him, but that's all part of the equation that I should have seen coming. My bad, my fault, I need to take a lap. I still think Odell will be fine. He'll get his. I think Chubb could rebound and become really good down the stretch. A pretty decent buy low running back 1. Landry, forget about it for now. And Baker, don't cut him, but maybe start Brissett. Maybe start the Briskinator ahead of Mayfield until further notice. I think the talent for him and that team is there. But it's like that intramural basketball team you were on where you thought you had the best team, you had all these awesome players, and you couldn't mesh or play well, and a team of scrubs took you to school. That's what it feels like. That's the feeling I get when I watch this Cleveland Brown team. It's loaded with talent. It's like they never played with each other before. And they didn't really in the preseason. Blame the coaching, blame the blocking, blame Baker, blame me. Oopsie on me. I'm going to have to call nailed it on my predictions for Todd Gurley being one of the biggest busts of 2019, if not the biggest bust, when people had him ranked 3, 4 overall back in January, February, March, and I got ripped to shreds. Nailed it. James Conner. Smitty, you're an idiot. James Conner is in an offense where they just won't use 2 running backs. James Conner, you can't call him injury prone. Nailed it. Joe Mixon, Smitty, you are an idiot. Joe Mixon is a top 5 to 10 running back. I can't believe you wouldn't draft him in the 2nd round. Hurt AJ Green, injured offensive line, bad coaching, and then Andy Dalton's your quarterback. Some of you actually bought him at 1st round value, and I was screaming, stay away from this guy. And I was saying stay away from this guy even in the 2nd round. If you own him, don't drop him. Don't trade him low. You invested in him. You made your own bed, but you must start him. He's probably your 2nd drafted player, your 2nd best player. You're going to have to ride the wave out. If you can sell high at any point, do so. But don't come ask me, should I start Mixon or some scrub running back? You drafted him. We're 3 weeks in. Commit to it. But I'm going to say,
Nailed it.
and back to the sad news. I did say that a little guy named Cooper Kupp would probably bust and not be very good. He's actually been quite good. And I do believe that he's an injury-prone player. And I want to reverse this oopsie in rewind fashion on a show further down the road if he ends up getting hurt. But for right now, you know what? I got to take my lumps. He is a really good wide receiver 2, if not, some would say low-end wide receiver 1 right now. Again, things could change, but you know what? But through 3 weeks, I have to be honest and accountable. And that is an oopsie on my part.
Oopsie.
Bad Smitty. I told you to go get Melvin Gordon. Nailed it. I told you to go get Devontae Adams. Nailed it. Then he got hurt. Son of a... I think he should be okay. Looking at some turf toe that could linger. But maybe the buying low window did open back up, and take a risk if you want. I'd buy him. And we don't know the severity of that turf toe injury, and someone's going to say it's bad, say it's not bad. We don't really know how fast that can heal, but those things can linger. Do expect maybe some games where he's hampered. It could get worse, it could get better. He does have a grip of days to rest up for next week. I myself would buy low and roll that dice if you could buy low. I said buy low on Aaron Rodgers. Nailed it. You have 4 players left in this buy low window that usually opens up from weeks 1 through 4, 1 through 5. It's one of my favorite times of the year because while everybody's mourning about how this guy started slow, Mike Evans started slow, should I sit Mike Evans, Smitty? No! Of course you don't sit Mike Evans in week 2. I can't tell you how many people actually ask me that for a 3rd or 4th wide receiver on their team. Knee-jerk reactions happen. They happen all the time. And I'm telling you right now, it's my favorite time of year, other than Christmas and Halloween and draft day and opening day. Favorite time of year. And there are 4 players left to go get now while the buy window is still open. George Kittle at tight end, Mike Thomas at wide receiver, Zeke Elliott at running back. No, you won't steal him away, but people are willing to do these 2-for-1 deals. You should have traded Eckler and somebody for Zeke, like I've been saying for weeks. Nailed it. But Zeke Elliott should not be attainable for a top 10 to 15 overall player just because he's throwing some dude that's going off that you picked up off the waiver wire. That's how it works. You picked up Waller, you might have Kittle. You drafted Andrews or picked Andrews up, you might have somebody else at that top tight end spot. Trade that player and this top 10 to 15 overall player, get yourself a Zeke Elliott and march your way into the playoffs, buddy. Juju Smith-Schuster. Still have time to go get Juju. In fact, I'm not going to stop at 5. Go get Devin Singletary. Go get David Montgomery.
It's time for an IBC cream soda break. Smitty's thirsty.
IBC has no affiliation with the Fantasy Football Show and is not a sponsor, although we wish they were. Contact them and let them know. Next buy low, if you will, I would say Melvin Gordon, that window closed. But you might be able to go get Nick Chubb on the cheap. You might be able to go get Tyreek Hill on the cheap.
Do I overpay?
No, that's why I say on the cheap. For the love of fantasy football, don't let Alexander Mattison sit on your waiver wire. Make whatever moves you got to make to get him on your roster. I can't tell you how many people still email me and say, should I pick up this scrub, that scrub, that scrub? And then all of a sudden they list Madison barely. Don't leave Alexander Mattison on your waiver wire. Don't leave Tony Pollard on your waiver wire. Yes, some of you might be in small leagues. Maybe the Tony Pollard thing won't apply to you because you're in a league where you have 2 or 3 bench running backs. I get it. But Alexander Mattison should make the cut no matter what size league you're in. He can win you a league if he gets in there. And if you're a Dalvin Cook owner, you better already have Alexander Mattison because I told you to cuff him. And if you don't have the duo, then you need to take a lap. I already took an oopsie for not being as high on Lamar Jackson as I should have been. Nailed it on Mark Ingram as everybody said, oh, this guy's not going to do well or survive in that Ravens offense as the starter. Several times I said, go get him. Draft him late. He makes a great running back in a 0 running back approach because I even said like 4 or 5 times on some YouTube videos, go look back. I said I wouldn't be surprised at week 4, 5, 6, you look at the stats and you're like, how is Mark Ingram competing for the rushing title through 6, 7 games through half of a season? He is that kind of sneaky good value. Nailed it. Go buy Calvin Ridley on the cheap. I think I'm going to nail it on that one. And no, George Kittle wasn't an oopsie. He still has plenty of time to prove he's an elite tight end, and he had 2 TDs called back in week 1. We'd be having such a different conversation had he not had those 2 TDs called back. And no, I'm not ready to call my Darrell Henderson an oopsie yet. I'm just not ready to do it. Give him a chance. We're only 3 weeks in. If and when Todd Gurley goes down, you mark my words, everyone's going to be racing to the waiver wire where they left him to grab Darrell Henderson. Let's wait on this one. I'll take my lap and I'll put an oopsie video up. If he never rises up, I will do that. Don't worry. I'm accountable. I do a show on accountability for myself. Yeah, I do throw some nailed it clips in there, but I do take accountability with my misses. So let's get to it. Let's dig into week 4 and go get all those guys I recommended that you buy low on. Have a good week 4, everyone. Top 5 running back.
You're watching the Fantasy Football Show.